Now we're going to move into the war on trust. And this is an important topic for many of us and the relationships that we have with our members. Financial institutions want credit union members. Fintechs also want our credit union members. And credit union members and credit unions and us, we have that trusting relationship. But are we going to be able to keep it? Let's welcome to the stage Stephen Bohanon from Alkami. Tony Boutelle from Origence. Emma Hayes, State Employees Credit Union. Rahul Kumar from Talkdesk. And Leonie Collier from BJSS.
Test.
Put the mic to your chin.
Go, Brandy. Right. When we asked to do this, Sue's always asking me to come up with, like, what do you think about this topic and everything? And I want you to think about it a little bit. So I did, Sue. War on trust. Trust. First thing I thought was, well, what does that mean? Trust, like especially in that kind of relationship, because it has obviously that word is an emotional word that obviously kind of triggers different things in different people's minds. But have any of you all, I read a book years ago by Stephen Covey Jr. called The Speed of Trust. Have you all read that book? Anybody here read that book? Yes, a great book. For those of you who haven't read, I'm going to give you just a real brief cliff notes here. Really the concept is, in order to have trust, there's really kind of those two components that we have, which is character and competence, right? You have to believe in someone's character, that they're honest, that they have your best interest at heart, that they actually care about you, that they want what's fair, all those types of things. You have to trust someone's character. And the second is you have to trust their competence. In other words, you could have you have a heart of gold, but if you don't have the skills, the experience, the tools necessary in order to fulfill what it is that we're entering into this relationship to do, I can't really trust you, right? You're kind of you're not well equipped. So those are kind of the two main components. And what he talks about in this book is how whenever there's a lack of trust or low trust, that ultimately you pay a trust tax. And that tax comes in the form generally of speed, time, money, all those things. And so like a really easy way is to think about two different relationships. One would be like the one you have with, let's say, a vendor, like the company I represent. We can tell when a customer doesn't trust us when they're entering the contract negotiation phase. Because they're like, I want that in there, right? I want that because I got burned by somebody else because I didn't have that in my contract, right? So it just takes more attorney's fees and more time and everything to get it done, right? There's low trust. Maybe you've had a scenario where you had a boss, or maybe you're one of those bosses that you don't trust maybe one of your employees, or you had a boss that didn't trust you, and they kind of want to sit down and go over everything you're doing and how are you doing that, and they don't just let you go make those decisions because there's low trust, right? So it's a tax. It's fatiguing, right? All right, so within that context is what I wanted to set it up for when we talk about the war on trust and the relationship that you all have with your members. Zach fed me a question that I promised him I would read. Now I'm going to go to Tony. I'm going to just go right down the line as we do this. Fintechs and other financial institutions want credit union members, and we have the trust. But will we keep it? What truly lies ahead? So, Tony, what do you think?
Is it on? Yeah, there we go. Well, good morning, everyone. Like Brett, I'm from the West Coast and just waking up, okay? So, I think trust is the basis of any relationship, right? And I think that is, so hard to earn and so easy to lose. And, from a credit union perspective, I think we have built trust with our members. That's what we've been known for. But if you look at the studies now of who's the most trusted financial institutions, we're like in the middle of the pack now. And where you have companies like Amazon and Apple, and I don't know, has anyone here ever talked to anyone at Amazon? I mean, but you have great trust in them, right? So I do think we've really got to be thinking about how do we build better digital trust and still create that relationship. And it's kind of like what you do with mobile banking, and hopefully what we do with lending is that you're consistent. You are doing things and making sure that you're meeting people's expectations. Like you said before, people need to feel that you care about them, and by caring about them, you're actually performing. You're making
So
things
you
happen.
think that we have the trust? You think that credit unions, I'm the royal we here, so that we have the trust of members?
I don't think we have it as much as we used to have it. I think
Why?
because I don't think that we have gotten to that digital trust journey as fast as we need to in order to kind of create the full loop. I would also just say that one of the things that just kind of struck me is that trust, I think, has changed over time, especially in these last 10 years, where trust and truth used to kind of go together. You know, you didn't really trust someone that didn't say the truth, but now you have people trusting people that aren't very truthful, right? And I think in this whole world of where we're sitting across the street from, and I think the thing that's the guy that kind of coined this term, it's actually in the dictionary now, is you guys ever see the Collier report? He called it truthiness, you know, and it basically you feel that it's true because you want it to be true. Basically, it's an intuitive. It sounds like it should be true, so it's got to be true, and that's kind of where I think a lot of the world's going today. And so, the whole trust question, I think, is one that's harder than it's ever been because again, truth does not kind of go hand in hand with it anymore. But again, from just a credit union financial services perspective, I would just say that the big goal for credit unions, I think, is a couple things. One, get better at digital trust, and two, I think we need to get consistent around when we do have. I look at Navy Federal's advertising over the many years, and they kind of were the de facto brand. We didn't do a branding, so credit unions our members knew who credit unions were through Navy Federal. Well, they have a big issue right now. They have a bad. So when things happen to credit unions that are national news, that's bad for us. That hurts the trust for everybody. So we all got to work together. We got to work together on what Brett and several people were talking about on getting behind what really is this. This is a valuable product. These overdraft products, but somebody else has got the narrative. We have a lot of enemies that are creating a bad trust for us out there.
Yeah. Emma, what's your take? One, do you agree with the statement? Because like we just said, oh yeah, they trust us. What do we got to do to keep it? Do you believe we already have it? And if so, why do we have it? And if you don't think we have it, why not?
So, yes, I do believe we have it. It's fading quickly.
Why?
But we do have it. It's fading because we have multiple generations that now have the need for financial services. And I think as an industry, historically, we've only served a few of those well because they've grown up with us. Their parents took them into the credit union. We heard one of those stories earlier today. So they understand the value proposition that we bring. They are not just affiliated, or they don't have not just an affinity for our values, but they actually have really ingrained themselves in the credit union industry. So we're talking boomers and the mature, right? And as those generations have changed, their needs have changed, but our services have not. So we've really done a really great job of capturing a specific audience, but we've done a horrible job at keeping pace with the changes and how those generations have different unique needs. So we talk about trust in the two characteristics, and he stole my analogy about Navy Fed, and just talking about we also haven't done a great job of advertising who we are across those generations. So we've left it to one brand, and right now that brand is under the heat lamp, not just the spotlight, but they're under the heat lamp. So now as an industry, we have to figure out how to navigate that situation. But there was a study done, and they asked members, or they asked consumers, what are some things that for financial institutions are important to you? And the very first thing was how the experience that they have with that institution. So again, we've done great jobs of building brick and mortar and then creating exceptional service through our brick and mortar. We do that better than anybody else. That's our bread and butter. That's not going anywhere. It's how our members really absolutely love to experience us. But not all of our members. And so we've not done a great job, and we're losing trust. as it relates to technology, because a lot of the newer generations are not interested in coming into a brick and mortar institution all the time. Like, they don't mind it for things that are going to be complex and things that are going to, they want a concierge type service, hold my hand, walk me through this, you know, especially as Brandy mentioned 7th grade, like some of these things I just don't understand and I need help with. And we're doing a great job of educating, but they also talked about transparency and communication. And again, we're not doing as well as our competitors in banking as it relates to our ability to communicate transparently with the things, because they don't just trust what they experience, but they also trust what they see on social media and the echo chamber. They believe all of that because that's where they're getting their source of information. And we're doing absolutely nothing to combat it. So we have to figure out how do we meet them where they are? How do we help them understand the value proposition so that we can continue to build trust with the next generation and the next generation?
So Emma, I heard a couple of things from you there. One was that, and I identify with this because it was my parents that got my first car loan. They co-signed with me at Tinker Federal Credit Union in Oklahoma City because my dad used to be Air Force, and so they were members. I didn't know what a credit union was. That's the only way I learned about it. But I didn't hear about it from the credit union or from anything in the community. So it's almost like we've relegated the communication that a credit union is a good place that cares about you, that you can trust. If the parents aren't evangelizing that to the next generation, then they're just not being told. So that'd be one. And the second thing I heard from you was whenever you have, like, when they come to the branch, great, they get to experience you. But sometimes when they experience you digitally or in that service channel, maybe they don't trust the competence of the credit union that they're going to have the services and stuff I need because, gosh, their mobile app looks kind of old and dated. And I mean, it could be as simple as that, right?
And they're not on social media, and they're not talking to me in the channels.
They don't have a video on TikTok.
They don't have TikTok.
Okay, got it.
Like, who is this credit union? They're sending me emails. Who does that?
Got it.
Like, yeah, that.
Good. All right, Rahul. So, and did I say your name right, Rahul? Yes. Okay. Rahul, what's your take? Same question. Do we really have it, or are we assuming that we have it and we really don't? And then what do we got to do to keep it?
Sure, Stephen. So I'll talk about my personal story. When I came to the U.S., similar to Fernando, my first touch with the U.S. financial system was through a credit union as a student. My first account was with my university's credit union. They were the first one to give me a credit card. When I graduated, I got my auto loan from them. Unfortunately, a few years ago, my accounts got compromised. And the whole conversation with my credit union, who I had a relationship for over a decade, was frustrating. I lost my trust in them and they did not assure me or reassure me that this was not going to happen again. That's where my relationship ended, and I took my business to a fintech. So, I say that to say, if you think about, do we have trust? I agree that it's fading because we are not able to reassure members that they are safe with us. Their finances are safe with us. And it shouldn't be that hard. What members are looking for are simplified customer or member journeys. They're looking for proactive financial guidance and advice. But the challenge, Stephen, although it sounds simple, the challenges that we face is we make every step in the member journey hard. So let's talk about the first step in the journey. What is it? It's, do you know me? We make it hard. Think about everybody has fun creating pins, forgetting pins, resetting pins. And then, every time I have to call my credit union, I go through the same exercise. Isn't that frustrating?
Rahul, I just want to jump in right here. So the flip side of it is we've got to be safe, right? I mean, the data is all compromised out there, identity theft and everything else. So I have to treat you with a little bit of skepticism, right, whenever you're trying to start that. And I can't have a full trust relationship with you when you're trying to open up a financial account in our institution.
Right. I agree, Stephen. But is the technology today allows us to do better, right? So when you think about, let me be the guy that talks about AI, right? Well, hey, I'm the guy that brings AI, right? So when we talk about AI, it has its own issues with trust, right? But if we pair the AI technology with data, that is when you can achieve better results. So, is it like the whole PIN exercise that I talked about, and organizations and institutions can design their authentication mechanism to suit their risk posturing, to your point. So it might be okay if you use my voice as a way to quickly authenticate me and give me my balance. But if the risk posturing of that interaction increases, say, for example, I'm looking to transfer $10,000, maybe you pair my voice with something that you know about me. So I think there are definitely opportunities, but we continue to get hamstrung by a lot of different things. We continue to put roadblocks in front of us. We continue to get hamstrung by the relationships we have with our core banking providers that are like, we are so dependent on them to be able to do any sort of innovation. We just continue to sit and do nothing with it. Right?
I'm going to mash up something you said, but I think what Brandy said earlier when Brandy was talking about the kind of the way that we kind of just relegate things to like, oh, it is what it is. That's just how it is. In this experience you're talking about, I want to start a relationship, and we're like, oh yeah, it's high friction. That's just kind of how it is, because all the data's out there, and it really, I think I would challenge everyone to ask yourselves, okay, we get it. We understand why we do it, but are we fully using, what you're saying, Rahul, the technology and things that are available out there to to decrease the friction of that experience? Because trust is such a reciprocal thing. I remember a friend of mine, or I don't think it was my father, but someone used to always say, the man who trusts no one cannot be trusted. The whole idea being is that you can tell when someone is trusting you, then you have a natural trust back there. Someone treats you skeptically, it becomes like a hostage, like a handoff, like you let go of the bag, then I'll let go of the money or whatever. That's almost how we treat people initially. And you could just shrug your shoulders and say, that's just the way it is, it's just the world we live in. Right. Or you could say, well, let's leverage other tools and things we have so that the first interaction we have with a member isn't one where we're treating them like they're a criminal.
Correct. And we also, Stephen, to sort of also talk about the fact that we continue to put blind spots throughout the journey that we are having with our members. We continue to run our businesses and our channels in silos. We continue to, you can only have trust if you truly have a full understanding of the relationship that you have with your members. I'll give you another example. We were talking to a credit union, and we were one of the challenges that they had was their interactions and conversations that were happening with the members in their branches was not visible to anybody else in the organization. So I had a 30-minute conversation sitting with you on a Saturday afternoon. I call you on Monday. Nobody knows what we spoke about.
We all love to repeat ourselves when we get transferred to the next person.
And then I'm expected to trust you with what?
Yeah, you guys don't even talk. Yeah.
Right. So
that's good. These are great examples.
Yeah. So I think to my final point would be, Stephen, I think we need to continue to challenge ourselves to think, to set ourselves it is a journey. It is not going to get solved tomorrow, I think, but the foundations that you need to lay as we get into this age of AI, data, modern technology, open ecosystems, the foundations that you laid today are what are going to help you continue to compete against the fintechs. But then again, trust is going to be the primary value driver against which you'd be able to compete in
the theme I'm hearing through multiple, and I'm going to get to, is it Leonie, by the way? I want to make sure I say it right. It's Leonie. The theme I'm hearing, and tell me if you all agree, is from the character and the competence side of thing, the trust tax we pay is really more competence-based, it sounds like, where whenever a member doesn't trust us, it's not that they don't trust, they may trust more, they just don't maybe trust that we don't know what we're doing. Not that we don't care, but we just don't know what we're doing. Is that, or do you think it's more on the character side where they think that my credit union's out to take advantage of me? Yeah, Leonie, yeah.
Okay. So what I think is we're going through our fourth revolution. You know, we've been going through it for a period of time. And what happens is storming, forming, and norming. So we've got data, we've got tech, we've got AI. All these things are coming along, and they're all, they become experimental. And then people start realizing that how they can use them, they get used for good and bad. And then eventually they sort of come into being normalized and become policy and GDPR and all these kind of things around data protection and everything else. So all that is sort of denigrating our trust. We're doing things every single day that we're thinking, is this the right thing? Is it the wrong thing? Maybe your mum rings you up and said, should I press yes on this email? Because she's worried. You know, she's heard about these problems. She's heard about scams, etc. So, you know, we've got deep fakes and everything else. And then we've got things like fintechs. And they were sort of thought of that they wouldn't succeed. Why would they succeed when we've got all these trusted institutions? But fintechs have been absolutely brilliant at building in trust. And trust comes from your service, like the service. Is it good? Is it easy? Has it enabled me to do things? Is it adding value? It comes from accountability. So if I'm asking you some data, some information, what am I doing with it? Am I honest to you, telling you why I've asked you for this information? And then it comes into action. So if I have a problem, if I need your help, are you helping me? Are you putting me in a loop with a chatbot that I never get the answer? You know, all those things are moments that build and break trust. And so I come from things as a human-centered designer, and I really think you've got to think about the why. You can think about the what and the how. You can think about, is it AI, is it data, etc. But if you don't talk to your customers, and just like you were saying about the journeys, you need to understand the journeys you're asking your customers to take, omni-channel journeys, you know, in-branch, online, etc. Because those journeys, those moments where there is pain, if you haven't identified them, how are you going to get people to trust you? Because they go to the pain point and they don't get help. So you really need to be thinking about the journeys that you're doing. We call them happy paths, and think about those unhappy paths and start making those unhappy paths happier, you know? And also you need to give people choice. I booked an Airbnb, $5,000. I needed to cancel it. I could cancel within 48 hours and get my money back. They said no. I was like, what do you mean no? $5,000. Anyway, I went on to the help section, and the first question they asked me was, do you want to do it by phone? Do you want to do it with chatbot? Or would you like to send us a letter? You know, I was like, phone, because this is my money.
A letter. I'll send you a letter.
So, you know, we've got to think about all our humans. And the other thing I've been thinking a lot about recently is whenever I do user research with people, with members, with clients, with, you know, internal people delivering services or people actually consuming them, we do something called a digital inclusion score, and we ask people to score themselves. And, you know, it's like 1 to 9, and if you're at 7, you're probably going to engage in digital technology. If you're below that, you're going to find it difficult. But I've been thinking about this from a sort of data perspective as well, because from a data perspective, you know, you've got the scared, you've got the skeptical, you've got the so-sos, it's okay, I give it, I don't mind, I don't know what they're doing with it. And you've got the savvies, and those savvies, they're in your sort of like, they're your, the fintechs and all that, you know, like, I know what you're doing with this, and I know why you're doing it. And if you're doing it, it better be bloody, it better be good.
Oh, she said bloody. You know? She said bloody. Language, Leonie.
It better be good. what you're giving me, because I'm giving you this data because you're going to give me something personalized and good. So I think those are the key things. And then just one other thought is, like, you know, obviously there's a lot, the data is king, and what can you do with data? And I think everybody's thinking about, what can I do with this data, and can I do better marketing and all those kind of things. But just think about how you are using that data for good, because I did some work last year with, it wasn't a credit union, it was a commodity, they were selling electricity to people, and they wanted to work out who might default on paying, you know, and actually by working out through data who they thought might default on paying, they were able to come in and offer something different and say, look, we can extend your payments, we can reduce them for a period of time. So you can use your data for good. And in credit unions, You know, those are things that people have these hard times in their lives, and we've been hearing about all that today. But if you can start using your data with good governance, by the way, you know, absolutely make sure you've got good governance on your data. Start thinking about where you show trust and value. That's what I would say.
Yeah. One of the scary things, or I guess the dangerous things, when you think about character and competence as two things, a lot of people think, especially like an organization like a credit union, well, my members know that I care about them. Yeah, it's kind of rough when you call the call center at times, and yeah, our online site's not that great, and yeah, the mobile banking doesn't really do a lot of features and all that kind of stuff, but they know that we care about them as people. So the issue is sometimes if you demonstrate a lack of competence in something, then people, after a while, assume things about your character. You know, if they really cared about me, wouldn't they train their staff better? If they really cared about me, wouldn't they invest in a better IVR system? Wouldn't they invest in a better digital banking system? Wouldn't they have these types of loans available to me if they really cared about me? So what can happen is what you think that they may just chalk up to incompetence. Well, we're small, we're community, you know, whatever. We care about the individual. They'll actually start to impute a lack of character on that over time. And it's amazing how you talk about the Fintechs. I mean, think about you yourself. When you went to download PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, whatever, you immediately said there are some competent people that work at this company because this is slick, right? Whereas if you go in the chatbot, you know, recycle Whirlpool, you kind of go, man, who is running this place? Do they even care about their customer or their member, right? Like we have those same thoughts. Don't think that they're not having those same thoughts. All right, so we're going to go down the panel really quick. You're going to have one action. I didn't even prepare you for this. So if you, and you can repeat what someone else says if you think they have a good one. You can just say ditto to them. But like, what's one kind of takeaway that you'd want to give in one sentence to this group around trust, either what you got to do to keep it or what you got to do to improve it, or whatever. Tony.
I'd mentioned digital trust. Doing something on your websites, on your mobile banking that actually shows people, because one of the number one things of getting people to trust you from a financial service perspective is that they know that you are protecting their data, and that is a big thing today. So what you can do to try to make sure people are confident that you're protecting their data, and then like you said, caring about them, respecting them, that's all part of it.
Emma?
Don't mistake loyalty for trust. I think we have absolutely loyal members, and they will stick around. They will be a member until they die, but they won't use your products and services. So I need for us to understand the difference between loyalty and trust, and make sure that we have products and services that meet their needs. So looking at your penetration rate, are you top of wallet? Like, those things will tell you whether or not they trust you. Just having them sign up as a member tells you that they're loyal, maybe.
Well, are they loyal, or is it just too inconvenient to like go through
that
Right. Laziness.
I don't trust
Don't confuse laziness for loyalty.
Right.
That's a good one. I like it. Rahul.
Yes. So I would say use technology to become more empathetic, because once you start showing empathy, trust will come. So as long as you can use technology, and technology today can allow you to become empathetic and proactive, use it and set the foundations for trust over time. That would be mine.
Leonie.
I would say know your users, do your research, have personas, think about your journeys, and make sure that everybody in your organization understands those journeys, because every department will be delivering different things. They're not connected always. If you don't understand the journeys that you have and the users at the heart of that, then you're not going to focus on the things that they need, which will build trust, whether it's in a branch or whether it's technology.
That's bloody good advice. Pardon me. All right, that's it. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.